data, qualitative analysis is the type of research that does not deal with any numbers, no survey questionnaires, no set of options. So instead, we use explanation, experiences, opinions, observations in describing a certain topic. So for example, open-ended questions like why or how, face-to-face conversation, telephone calls, and also using pen, paper. So here are the strengths of qualitative analysis. So one of the strengths of qualitative analysis is that it uses naturalistic approach. So when we say naturalistic approach, it deals with the real-life situations or real-life events in the natural settings. It also promotes a positive societal changes. Then the weaknesses is time-consuming and data overload. So now we'll proceed to the types of qualitative analysis. So first is the conversation analysis. Conversation analysis. The assumption is that every interaction is contextual and has a stable and predictable nature. CA focuses on talk and speaking tests, both verbal and non-verbal. From a transcript, the power relations can be researched by analyzing. First is the structure of adjacency pairs, like question and answer, suggestion and acceptance. Second is turn-taking, refers to the process by which a speaker takes turns in a conversation. Here are the difficulties to look out for with conversation analysis. First is the data quality, loss of data, time, and limited generalizability. It is a method for studying written or spoken language in relation to its social content. So second type of qualitative analysis is discourse analysis. So discourse analysis is the analysis of the text and talk as social practices, and is mainly concerned with power relations, gender inequalities, etc. In discourse analysis, the transcript of an instruction is analyzed for adjacency pairs, turn-taking, and repair. So a discourse analysis might focus on the repeated use of certain keywords or phrases, the framing of issues, the power of dynamics reflected in the language used to address different groups, and the overall narrative constructive. It aims to uncover how language constructs meaning, shapes opinions, and reflects social structures within a specific context, such as politics, media, or everyday interaction. So, discourse analysis is qualitative analysis method used to draw meaning from the language in context. So, for example, when people participated in a town hall meeting, in this situation, the presenter, usually an elected official, starts a discussion and people in the audience have an opportunity to ask the presenter direct questions. And a politician, someone with more power talking to their followers, someone with less power. You can use discourse analysis if you want to understand the following factors in the way the two groups communicate. And discourse analyses are interested in how the context of a communicative event affects the meaning of the language used. For example, the meaning of home will differ depending on whether it is spoken to a family member or a friend or stranger. So another example of discourse analysis research topic include analysis of TV advertisements and social media posts, focus on a specific topic such as the reproduction of gender roles or the refuge and asylum seeker policies.
Test language analysis. An analysis of test input or test taker responses for lexical richness, rhetoric, genre, discourse markers, grammatical complexity, and etc. So, it is a process of evaluating the language used in a text to determine its meaning, structure, and other characteristics. This can include analyzing the grammar, syntax, vocabulary, and tone of the text. The purpose of this language analysis is to understand how effectively a text communicates its intended message and to identify any areas that may need improvement. So, when using this type of sample analysis, pay attention to number 1 is time test. Time test language analysis analysis is very time consuming. Processing data is more efficient if you know what you are looking for.
So the four types of qualitative analysis is task characteristics. This type of validation research helps to examine the task to determine to which extent they correspond to the task goal. The analysis is performed by a number of expert judges who determine the task quality. So, it involves describing and understanding the specifics of a particular task or set of tasks into its components, outlining the objectives, and identifying the necessary resources, determining the expected outcomes, and clarifying the steps or processes required to accomplish it. This process helps in understanding the nature, scope, and requirements of the task in detail. So, example is analyzing the characteristics of tasks or activities to understand their impact on performance and the outcomes.
Feedback methods refer to the different ways in which feedback can be collected and provided to individuals or groups. Under the feedback methods is questionnaires. Gather data such as opinions and views that can also be gathered through interviews. The main advantage of questionnaires is the possibility to use a very large informant population. For example, a company may use a questionnaire to gather feedback from customers about their products or services. There are roughly two kinds of questionnaires. First, closed. The informant replies to the questions by ticking boxes or by marking a scale. Second, open. The informant replies in his or her own word.
So the second feedback method is interviews. They are a flexible way of gathering data. There are various kinds of interview depending on the structure and the number of information interviewed at the same time. So, a feedback method that involves direct conversations with individuals to gather detailed feedback. For example, a manager may conduct interviews with employees to gather feedback on their performance and work environment. So there are 5 types of interviews. First is structured, unstructured. So, no fixed interview schedule, but rather a number of themes that are to be addressed. An unstructured interview is a type of interview where the interviewer does not follow a specific set of questions and instead allows the conversation to flow naturally, giving the interviewer the opportunity to talk freely about their experiences and opinions. This type of interview is often used to gather qualitative data and gain insight into the interviewer's thoughts and feelings. Next is structured interview. The fixed series of written questions, a questionnaire questions of all for the person, commonly used in various fields, including business, government, healthcare, and education. Next is semi-structured. The questions are not rigidly defined or standard as to gather a comprehensive information. The more flexible, allowing for additional or follow-up questions based on the responses of whom you interview. Next is one-on-one interview. Individual respondents, face-to-face conversation, the respondent and the interviewer. More personalized evaluation and can provide focus. Next is, the last one is group interview. Larger number at once is the group interactions. Several people are interviewed together. Same interview session on how the respondents interact in a group setting.
Referencing. Non-referencing is the placement of learner in rank order, their assessment and ranking in the relation to their peers. Non-referencing in action. When an individual student test score is considered, it is compared to the established norms. A score of 90 might be above the average and considered excellent performance. Non-reference has high. A score of 75 might be exactly at the average and considered a typical or average performance. A score of 60 might be below the average and considered
lower than expected, norm reference as low. Qualitative analysis. In the qualitative analysis, indicators might look beyond the numeric scores. They have considered factors such as the specific math skills or concepts our student excelled or struggled in, patterns of errors or conceptions that indicate areas for improvement, how well student applied problem-solving strategies even if the overall score is lower. Based on the norm referencing and qualitative analysis, educators can provide feedback, positive reinforcement for high performers acknowledging specific strengths, encouragement and targeted support for average performers highlighting areas for improvement, additional support and personalized strategies for low performers to address specific challenges. In this example, norm referencing provides a comparative framework while qualitative analysis offers a deeper understanding of individual strengths and areas for growth. The combination allows for tailored educational intervention based on both performance relative to peers and a detailed analysis of skills and concepts. Norm referencing examples illustrate how this approach works. Imagine a standardized mathematics test given to a group of 8th grade students across a region. The test compresses various math skills and concepts aligned with the grade level. Normative data collection. The test administered to a large and diverse sample of 8th grade students from different schools. After the compilation of the test, the scores from this group become the normative data.
So next is criterion referencing. Criterion referencing, learners assess purely in terms of his or her ability in the subjects, irrespective of the ability of his or her peers. So criterion referencing, this approach evaluates individual performance against a predetermined set of criteria or standards, or the criterion. It focuses on determining whether the test takers has mastered specific knowledge or skills. The emphasis is on measuring what the test takers know or can do in relation to a defined standard without considering the performance of others. Test scores in criterion reference assessments are often recorded in terms of meeting or non-specific criteria or standard. So it means that criterion referencing is focusing on standard and determined criteria or specific standard.
I was assigned to explain to you what is the mastery criterion referencing approach and the continuum criterion referencing approach. The mastery criterion referencing approach is one in which a single minimum competence standard or cutoff point is set to divide learners into masters and non-masters with no degrees of quality in the achievement of the objective being recognized. For example, the teachers will determine what students have mastered in certain subjects like the subcategory of mathematics, the science, and etc. Whilst the continuum criterion referencing approach is an approach in which an individual ability is referenced to a defined continuum of all relevant degrees of ability in the area in question. Now, the example of continuum criterion referencing approach is the students shall be tested in their knowledge scale or understood the material, if they have understood the material. This determines the students to what degree the students know the reference or the objective material.
It is all about the types of qualitative analysis. So thank you for listening and hope you learned a lot about our topic. So take care and goodbye.